Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Well, I hope I heard what she said because I missed that part. It didn't come through. But yeah, so today we picking up on this medical scenario, these allegations of medical negligence, which brings us to speaking about this uncomfortable truth about Nigeria's medical system. So the suspension of 3 doctors by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria following the tragic death of the son of celebrated author Chimamanda Adichie has sparked outrage, and rightly so. But you see, beyond some of these headlines, beyond the emotions lies a deeper systemic question. Why does accountability in Nigeria's healthcare system so often come after tragedy? In functional medical systems, supervision is constant. I mean, clinical audits are routine, very routine. Errors are investigated immediately. Performance reviews are structured. In countries like even the US, I mean, doctors carry mandatory malpractice insurance. Look, in some cases, they literally insure their hands before they're allowed to practice. Their licenses are tied to not just qualification, but to continuous oversight, liability coverage, and enforceable professional standards. But here at home, oversight often appears reactive, not preventive. If it takes a high-level profile case before regulatory bodies swing into action, what happens to the countless ordinary Nigerians whose cases never trend? Who speaks for them? Well, this is not about condemning a profession. Nigerian doctors operate under immense pressure, we know, inadequate funding, overstretched facilities, brain drain, poor infrastructure, it goes on. But pressure cannot excuse the absence of supervision. Where are the routine inspections of hospitals? Where are the transparent outcome reviews? Where are the proactive sanctions before lives are lost? The healthcare system cannot regulate itself only when public attention demands it. Accountability must be systematic, not selective. Trust in medicine is sacred. Once it erodes, patients delay treatment, seek unsafe alternatives, or travel abroad, like yours truly, widening inequality in access to care. And that is so dangerous for any nation. While the suspension of these doctors may be a first step, but it mustn't end there. Nigeria needs stronger regulatory independence, real-time monitoring of practitioners, transparent investigative processes, and a culture where medical error reporting is mandatory, not optional, as is often the case in many instances. And that's because healthcare is not a privilege reserved for the influential. It's a right owed to every Nigerian, and rights demand supervision. The question now is simple. Will this moment trigger genuine reform, or will it fade into yet another cycle of outrage and silence like we've seen previously? So I guess, well, maybe your guess may be as good as mine, but ultimately, time will tell. Ayo.
You know, you couldn't have said it better than anyone here on this issue, but Chamberlain, in my opinion, and even from the analysis of that report out there now, the suspension of these 3 is nothing but a first step, a safety step. But the suspension affected the heads of the organizations and maybe 1 anesthesiologist. And we also understand that 10 other practitioners have been indicted. And I can only assume or believe that the process has just begun. The issue is already in court, so that is safe to say. But I dare also say that, I mean, from what I know about the health system in Lagos, they have an institution called Hefama, trying to get the correct name, the full name of that organization. In Lagos, you don't just go out and do anything. They have a process, by which they monitor health institutions and medical service delivery institutions. They call it a Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency. So they are compelled to have the right equipment all the time. However, how the organization may have missed this one is a bit concerning, because from what we understand, according to the family, certain resuscitation facilities or equipment were not available. At least that is how far we know for now, what the reports that we are getting here and there. But this, as you said, Chamberlain, is not the only one. There are several that will never make the headlines. And people are at risk. They are in jeopardy every day. Just recently, in response to this case, Dr. Joe Abba, former DG of BPE, said, look, they recommended something for him, and somehow he wasn't comfortable with it. He had to go out of the country, and he got a contrary opinion on that. In the same thread, someone said, look, he needed to seek a second opinion, just as you did, Chamberlain, and it was not in the country. Even just yesterday, a friend was telling me of an organization, a hospital, where they recommended something, and he said, no, this is not likely what I need. Let me look for something else, a second opinion. Went for a second opinion and saw that the case was worse than was prescribed in the former place. So the question then is, we are looking, I mean, you've said it right, it is a systemic challenge. People who hold the needle, particularly nurses and some of these practitioners elsewhere, they have this notion that they have the yam and the knife. But let's call a spade a spade. You operate, you work simply because these people are there. They are your customers, and they deserve to be taken very good care of. This is not the only one we have heard. This is likely not the last we're going to hear. The medication in question here, Chamberlain, is propofol, is the same medication that is at the heart of the death of Michael Jackson. And this is not something that anyone knows, it's not something that everyone doesn't know. It's popular knowledge. So let the medical practitioners not see just the systemic challenge, but their own individual sense of responsibility. I hear you on accountability. How about the sense of responsibility? How about the Hippocratic Code that you swore to? This is not just one isolated case. It's happening all over the place. I know that Lagos has a fairly higher standard in the country than many other states. But even at that, this is happening, and it's not the only one we've heard. So what happens next? You've called for a system review. Fantastic. But then what? The monitoring that we are talking about here, clearly this case demonstrates a gap. Lagos State government needs not just to prosecute this and investigate all. We need to know how the system works in Lagos, not just in the health sector, but everywhere else, so that we know that, okay, Lagosians are safe, and Lagos is building to the mega city status that it is intended or it has a vision for. But above all, Chamberlain, sincere condolences to the family who have lost a less than 2-year-old child. It is not a loss you get over very quickly, Chamberlain. I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, that's why this matter, it doesn't just hit home, but there are a litany of cases and examples that one can highlight. I mean, I was misdiagnosed myself, so that was part of the reasons why I had to just, go out and then seek major attention, because if not, who knows? And then thank God. That's why you hear that a lot, yeah. And so the rest, they say, is history. So, but it's not our main focus today, even though I think at some point we should actually have a proper conversation about the healthcare system in this country, almost at every phase and what's going on. is just beyond what a Minister of Health can do within a short time or say within a short time frame. There is a systemic challenge, and we must admit it. But we will flip and talk about politics in a moment. Don't go away. With the release of the 2027 general elections timetable by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the political season has officially begun. Across the country, major parties are conducting state congresses, electing new executives, and repositioning for what promises to be a defining electoral contest. But while some parties appear to be building momentum, well, one opposition platform, the ADC, seems unusually quiet. No visible surge in Congress activities, no clear organizational momentum. Questions are beginning to surface about its internal cohesion and readiness for 2027. So, is the ADC restructuring behind the scenes or struggling to find its footing? Can it realistically position itself as a credible alternative in the next election cycle? Well, joining us to shed light on this matter, and no heat, I guess, it's a chieftain of the ADC. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program, sir.
Good morning, and it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be back and good to be here. I can almost guess one of your answers, one of the many answers to some of the questions we'll ask you, but let me start by asking, yes, some activity has kicked off in different political parties, but you know how it is. I mean, people want to see some opposition, I mean, major opposition, just challenging as well, so people can have proper alternative, because what is a democracy without opposition in the first place? So what's going on with the ADC?
Okay, let me start by saying that you are not being fair to ADC.
How so?
The reason, I'll prove it in a moment. The reason you are saying this is because APC was already comfortably seated. I jagged as many as possible in the other parties to their own party. They have all the resources in the world. They have all the security in the world. They have control even of INEC. When I say control of INEC, the INEC is appointed by the government. So, and they have jumped the gun. They started campaigning more than a year ago. You will not say you are not aware that recklessly, even a minister left his job and traveled to his home state, I'm sure for a week or 2 weeks, and was running a campaign as if election will be next month. So how then do you expect an opposition where they have virtually shut down most of the opposition parties, either surreptitiously or even frontally? They are not hiding it. Today, for the first time, we have a leader who controls 2 parties and is approved by the president of Nigeria and says, yes, he is the leader of my party, APC, and is also a leader of PDP. Is that democracy? So the president cannot speak about PDP while the minister cannot speak about APC because he does not technically belong to APC. But just because of the ongoing rascality in Nigeria, anything goes and everything goes. So when you blame opposition, opposition, of course, is gathering momentum, and you can see that even the government is jittery. Forget about their propagandists. They can import, export, whoever they want to use for their propaganda, it is obvious that the ruling party is jittery. And that is why they are going all out frenetically to try to showcase and pretend that all is well. If you read the news today, you will see that APC is indeed a house of commotion. From Benue to Zamfara to so many other places, you will see them. They are fighting themselves like babies fighting for lollipops. So, and it is just starting. So for us, we have to be more technical. We have to be more sober. The APC is able to fund its readiness. Everybody that goes there right now is going there for various reasons. One, if you are a governor, you are afraid for your second term. If you are a governor, you are afraid of VFCC. If you are a governor, you are afraid of ICPC. If you are a governor, you are afraid of so many things, including your own shadow. And so a governor will voluntarily go into slavery and servitude because they know that the leadership they are dealing with is not a regular leadership. It's not a Goodluck Jonathan. You understand? So you have a very, very tough leadership at the moment. So there is this palpable fear across the nation. And so opposition is trying to put its act together. We cannot at this stage behave like that. If you want to play Brazil in the game of football, you must play a different style. We cannot play their style because we don't have what they have, all their appurtenances of power and so on and so forth. But the most important thing is that we are ready to ask the electorate, is your life better today than it was when Buhari was in power? Now, APC is supposed to be an offshoot of the Buhari administration. Yet every day, it is APC itself that is blaming Buhari and blaming APC. Okay? So when you see a situation like that, you will wonder if these guys are serious at all. Now they are saying, oh yeah, they stabilized the exchange rate against the dollar. I laugh. They forget to tell us where was the dollar when they took power. They tell us today they are running budgets in trillions, but they forget to tell us what they've done with the trillions and have they been able to balance the budget. They tell you that, oh, that there is no government ever like the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, no problem. Maybe it's reverse psychology that this government actually is not doing what it is supposed to be doing. So when they talk about everything, you removed full subsidy from day one. You have not been able to tell us how it has affected Nigeria positively. All the people are feeling is the negative effect of the subsidy. You have taken more loans than all the governments of Nigeria combined. We have not seen the effect of that loan. So a lot is going on that Nigerians cannot understand. But there is a preponderance of propagandists who are willing to delete their brains and sell their souls for peanuts. And that is why you see this cacophony of excuses on radio, on television, and in the newspaper. So for me, the ADC does not have to do much. We will meet them, inshallah, by God's grace, point by point, and we will demand answers to those issues.
Okay, so Yeah, in terms of, because there are things that the electorate want to see, organization, because I mean, the last time when the ADC came forward and was speaking about the Electoral Act, there were many people who were wondering, they thought those concerns should have come way earlier. I mean, when that window was there, but after it had been signed, and then asking for it to be looked into again, people thought, okay, does the ADC have some sort of plan that the people are not exactly aware of? Because even smaller opposition parties, well, let me not say smaller because they might get angry, but it's a statement of fact. APP, for instance, they've also dissolved executives, they're electing new ones. So those kinds of activities. So people can indeed say, because I mean, the media only reports what happens. If it doesn't happen, they can't report or fabricate it. So those are the kind of things that we're asking in terms of those organizations, preparedness, to be sure that the time frame is met. Because now that presidential election is in January, these actions ought to have kicked in. So even candidates can know, or aspirants can know that, okay, I think I can pitch my tent here.
My dear brother, there is nothing to worry about. There is nothing to worry about. Strategy is strategy. I said it, we cannot use Tinubu's strategy. We cannot use his methodology. He has his own way of getting his own results. So we now have to factor how we are going to navigate and meander around his own strategy to get him out of the seat. That is the job of opposition. That is what he did when he was in opposition. So there is no reason why others should not be allowed. One thing is clear to us in opposition. I've said it, APC is jittery. Number two, APC does not want competition, especially at the presidential level. That is very clear. They don't want any form of competition, and if possible, and that is why they are sowing seeds of discord from party to party. It's clear. And that is why they will hold some people and they will not hold some people. It doesn't matter. You see, I am always spiritual about life. I was born in a Electoral church in El-Rufai. And all my life, I've always believed that it's God that will give power. No matter how powerful you are, God has a way of it. Oh, Nigerians say, well, when you talk about God, it means you are helpless. Don't worry. I've seen miracles in my life. So those miracles will happen in Nigeria. I'm a good student of history, and I can see clearly that all the shenanigans going on right now around APC, trying to infiltrate every political party. I know that their mission and ambition now, if possible, is to have 36 governors. It doesn't matter. Let them take all the governors. But when you look back to 2023, you will see that we had governors of the G5 led by Nyesom Wike. Out of those 5 governors, 3 of them contested to be senators, supervised by the governors in their own states, yet all 3 of them lost senatorial bids. It tells you something, that there is no guarantee that if they carry all the governors can deliver for Asiwaju. So when people panic, when people say, oh, we can't see you, or we can't see any preparation, don't worry. Be patient. Slow and steady wins the race. We know what we are doing. And to say that we have not been campaigning or we have not been doing anything. In fact, I don't know anybody who has worked better than Malam Bolaji Abdullahi. I watch him every day. I see all the activities. We respond to all the rascality and so on and so forth. But like I said, of course, the will of state is very strong. And all we are trying to do is to chip away at it slowly but steadily and then effectively. It will happen. I have no doubt in my mind. I was there when APC itself was formed. I wasn't a member at that time. but we supported the government of Buhari. And this was the same way the PDP guys then were saying, no, it's not possible. You can't defeat an incumbent. And people are arguing now, oh, because Tinubu is next to God, he is an oracle in Lagos, he is everything, you know, on planet Earth. No problem. But we all have brains.
Okay. Well,
and that brain is what we're using right now.
Let me ask you this, because a number of people wonder how, because it's a question I've almost always asked. Look, how is the internal politics of one political party so susceptible to the influence of another individual in another political party? But maybe that's not an issue to respond to for now. There is an issue in the Electoral Act, and I'm sure it is something that's also of concern to you. Oh, by the way, you may want to respond to that other issue, by the way. Is that of the digital register that is being sought. Is the ADC, in your opinion, ready? Because I don't think we can give any excuse. The understanding we have for now, even in a statement put out by Yaga Africa, that look, any political party that does not have its digital register ready may not be able to present candidates during the elections. So is the ADC ready? What are the inhibitions that you think, or the hurdles that you think need to be crossed by the ADC in particular in order to be able to get it ready? Do you think it is something that the ADC, as a growing substantive opposition, can achieve?
My dear brother, as a prominent media practitioner, I beg you, try to encourage democracy, try to encourage opposition. Look, all APC has been doing is to manipulate the system. And every day there are new laws that you must obey. There are encumbrances that you must surmount. Is that democracy? But they cannot hide behind one finger, like Chifentu Abela used to say. Let them continue to manipulate and meander, and we too will navigate around it. There is no law. Is there anywhere where only party members will vote during the general election? The answer is no. So picking your candidates, there are different methods and ways by which a party can pick its candidate. It has nothing to do with digital registration. The digital registration right now is ongoing everywhere in different political parties. So at the appropriate time, the parties will determine how. They are not the ones that will tell us who to pick or how to pick that person. So I don't know why this panic. Go and check the APC that you say is ready. In almost every state right now, they are fighting. In Lagos State, the only reason why nobody can fight is because they've always operated the Babasokwe style of governance.
Chief,
So
the question, I apologize for butting in.
to bring a list to Abuja.
I apologize for butting in.
The president had enough time to look through the list of Lagos as an interested party.
I apologize for butting in, but the question I'm asking is actually about the preparedness of the ADC. Because whether we like it or not, just a second, whether we like it or not, it's already a law. Whether we like it or not, it's already a law. Political parties must present their digital register.
Did I tell you that they are not complying? I'm saying they are complying. So the register, ADC will comply, even when we disagree with some of the things they are throwing out, okay, to the parties. ADC is strong enough. You have some of the biggest veterans of politics in ADC, and they are ready. They know how to play the game. So I am telling you, we're not illiterate. So how do you want to frustrate us or intimidate us with digitalization? It's something that everybody would like to participate in. But to now single out ADC and say, we don't know what you guys are doing. And I've said, be patient with us. When was ADC then formed? And all manner of challenges have been thrown at us. And we're still standing. So don't panic on our behalf. Let us do the job. Let us focus on what we need to do. And if we fail, then you can say anything. But
Oh
for
no,
now, I
we are
can tell you that
hoping
the ruling
we are
party
hoping that
is
no
jittery.
political we are hoping that no political party will fail, sincerely, because otherwise
No,
there will be
in an
no
election,
democracy
some
at all.
must fail.
Because we need to have a virile opposition. I mean, to have virile
How do
opposition
you have a
parties.
virile opposition when the ruling party is clearly dictatorial? How? That's why I said you should be practical and you should support opposition
Is this
by
not an
asking
admission?
relevant questions from the ruling government.
Is it not an admission on your part, Chief Momodu, that the ADC does not have what it takes to stand up against the APC?
Who told you that? So that's
But
what
you
I'm
are
saying.
saying
Now you're
now,
already being
Chief,
judgmental. We
you
have not even
know, you are
started
saying,
the
what you are
race.
saying
You're
is that
already saying they don't
the
have what it
APC
takes.
has
How many
muscled.
people? No,
You are
sir.
saying that
How many
you are
people
saying that
took
the
out
APC has muscled opposition.
PDP? No. Yes, he has muzzled the opposition, but wait for the response from the people. You always talk about opposition as if it's only about political parties. The biggest opposition in the world are the floaters. The floaters don't have to belong to any party, but on the day of the voting, you will see how they will pour out, vote massively against an oppressive government, and defend their votes. You are saying it as if the APC has a monopoly of this thing. That's why I'm saying our strategy cannot be open at this stage. In fact, it would be stupid to let the whole world know what we are planning. We can't. A lot of people did not even see ADC coming. Yet they have been meeting for over a year. And when they came, the ruling party was scared. That is why they are running helter-skelter, sending their agents, go and file this case in court, go and file that case against Labour Party, go against NNPP. You will see the coalition. I told you I was there in 2015. How many leaders came together in 2015 to make Buhari president? The number of people we have in ADC today and the caliber of men and women we have in ADC today will scare the daylight out of them. They can spend all their resources, spend all the resources of Nigeria on trying to defeat the ADC, but the ADC will emerge victorious. I'm very sure about that.
So as we wind down, yeah, you said we shouldn't panic on your behalf. We'll note that. But yesterday, we had the governor of Adamawa State on the program, and he said, when we asked him reasons why he moved and what that meant for the opposition, he was in PDP, then moved to APC. But he also did say that the North should not, they should forget about to 2027, because he feels that, unwritten rule that for things to move smoothly politically, the South has got to finish its turn, then revert to the North, and so we can have that smooth, unwritten agreement going on. What do you think of that?
It is those who have nothing better to say who talk about North-South. The Constitution of Nigeria is supreme, and the Constitution of Nigeria does not talk about zoning. And even if you want to talk about whether zoning has been fair to a particular region in the South or in the North, you will see that Nigeria has been fair to the South. President Obasanjo did 8 years, after which Yar'Adua did about 3 years, and then Goodluck Jonathan completed their term, contested and won, so giving him 5 years plus 8 years of Obasanjo. And he was still allowed to contest, which would have, if he won, it would have made it 17 years out of 24 or thereabout. So, look, those who say that, I don't want to waste my time, but I want to respond to Fintiri. So, Fintiri joined APC because it believes it's the turn of the South. Oh, how cheeky. Fintiri was chased, people were chased out of his village just in the last couple of days or weeks. So has he gone to APC to go and thank them for securing his people? A lot of people who are going into APC. So what are they going? So Kwara State now is in the hands of APC. So they are happy and joyous that their people are being killed by bandits. In every part of the nation where you have APC, it's a story of sorrow, tears, and blood. So what exactly is APC offering them that they are all running helter-skelter and falling over themselves to praise a God of iron who must be obeyed? It's unfortunate. But when tomorrow comes, we've seen it before. I remember when a lot of people insisted they must join the Abacha government at that time. Go and read the history and see what happened thereafter. Everybody was falling over that. If we don't join Abacha, other people will take the appointment. Is life only about power? My answer is no. The problem with Nigeria is our leaders don't read much, especially history. They don't like history. If they like history, then they will know what happened to others in the past who tried to enslave their own people. And they will read it all over the world. Some governors now, every governor wants second term by fire by force, and they believe the only way they can get it is if they go to APC. This is what is going on. You are saying, why can't opposition take on? Take on who? Take on Tinubu? Why didn't opposition take him on in Lagos in the last 27 years? You know how this game is played. The president of Nigeria is the most powerful president until Donald Trump started whipping sense into us. The presidency could do anything. Now our president is begging America to come and help us. Who does that? When we were the ones helping other parts of Africa. I was there in Sierra Leone. I was there in Liberia. Our soldiers controlled 10 out of 15 counties in Liberia. So what happened to our soldiers today that we have to beg America to come and take over our country? We're not serious.
All right, Chief, as we wind down, I mean, in case I might have missed it, do we have a date for the ADC congresses?
Everything will be announced. And of course, channels will be one of the first people to get it. We are on. We are on very, very professionally. We're not going to play a rough game with APC. It's not necessary. The people, we are targeting the people. This is not about playing politics. I mean, most of us, when you see us, we are veterans now. But there is nothing I'm looking for in politics. I've always been in opposition technically, and I am happy that we're still standing firm. ADC is not the problem of Nigeria. APC is the problem. So let's all come together. Don't discourage anybody. If you have suggestions, make it to whosoever you wish. But to say, oh, we're not ready, we can't take on the 1 year to election, we're still talking about you can't take on. Anything can happen in the next 1 month. APC is falling apart. They appointed ambassadors. They can't even post them. Some of them did Thanksgiving in church. Some of them went to fashion designers to go and sew their dresses in advance. Yet, today, they are not there. They are all money behind the scene. Look, majority of my friends are in APC. Sometimes when I hear their pain, I feel it. They talk about pain. They don't know what is going on. Because everybody must wait for Abuja. They can't do anything without Abuja. So, I'm very confident. I know what is going on behind the scene. That a lot of people are going there, and what they expect to find, they are not finding it easy. Thank you.
So, we'll have to anchor at this point. We do thank you very much indeed for your time this morning, and I know we'll be looking to see how those activities also kick on. So, Chief, Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
All right. So we will be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. As you know, across the country, political parties are already deep into state congresses, electing executives and positioning for 2027, barely days after the timetable was released by INEC under the new Electoral Act. But while structures are being activated, the opposition is crying foul. Several parties say the timetable is unrealistic, the reforms uneven, and the playing field tilted. But the question is simple. Are we witnessing healthy political competition or early warning signs of another credibility battle ahead of 2027? Well, at the same time, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai finds himself in fresh controversy with allegations surrounding phone tapping equipment reportedly discovered in his residence, claims his family has firmly denied. Is this law enforcement at work, or politics playing out through security institutions? Well, joining us to discuss some of these matters, the host of Inside Sources and former presidential aide. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
About the elections, the congresses being held. I mean, naturally, because people are already used to the APC, so when their congresses are going on, people think, yeah, that's normal. But when a group of opposition comes together to see how they go put up a strong front to challenge them properly, many expect some sort of action. But as you heard Chief Mamadou say, don't panic on our behalf. We've got this. We have got this. So what do you think of what you've seen?
Yeah, I think that it's important for all of us generally to agree on a very central and basic point in a democracy. We must be concerned and concerned honestly about a viable opposition. So to that extent, you know, all of us, we must side with the perspective that tries to enlarge the democratic space. Now, I don't agree with those who are afraid that Nigeria may become a one-party state, because, you know, if you look at, you know, the divergences, you know, it's not going to converge and produce a one-party state. But having said that, I'm also concerned about, you know, ensuring that the opposition does have a space to breathe, and that we have a process that is seen to be very fair. That is where I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to, especially, you know, what INEC says and what INEC does. Now, if you remember in the last cycle, you know, Professor Yakub, the immediate past chairman of INEC, he did a good job in trying to raise the hopes and build the trust. The problem was that when it came to the time to deliver, he was completely, you know, absent.
So he did a good job dashing the hopes too.
So, yeah, it's exactly not a good way to put it. But the problem that we have now is that there is no... I mean, I have not seen the new chairman of INEC, Professor Joash Amupiton, speaking as candidly as he ought to. He's behaving as though, you know, his hands are tied and he's trying to be careful, you know, what to say or what not to say. And, you know, maybe it's because he's new, you can give that leverage. But it's important to let him know that INEC must be on the side of the Nigerian people as an umpire, okay? So this issue of him saying that, oh, I cannot guarantee 100% success of the election, that doesn't have to be spoken. Nobody is expecting 100% perfection. But when the chairman of INEC speaks like that, it sends the wrong signal, especially when we are just coming out from a very controversial discussion of the Electoral Act and the issue of electronic transmission and the proviso that was brought in at the last minute. And then you now have the chairman like say, well, you know, he should have just said, which he also said, that look, I will give you the best election and stop there. Nobody is going to expect you to be perfect. So I am concerned that if the opposition are raising hell, too much hell about the electoral process, it's important we pay attention to that so that we don't create a legitimacy crisis for the outcome of the election.
So when they came up and spoke about the provisions of the Electoral Act that was amended at the time they did,
yeah.
And the reaction for a lot of people was, oh, wait a minute, there was that window of opportunity to have made that point very cogently. Not that it wasn't cogent when it was made subsequently, but they thought that timing determined a lot. Because some of the narrative was, well, the act was amended. Yeah. Who says it cannot be amended again? And then we know that if you're in the minority, it has to take some doing for you to get it amended if you're not in the majority. Right. So many then thought, did they just say that just for the sake of occupying the space, so to speak? Because if it was about getting or making an impact, that window when that ground was there, where lots of Nigerians were really on that matter, they should have just keyed in, but maybe they thought differently.
Yeah, I mean, and that has a potential to create the unnecessary kind of legitimacy crisis for the process. Look, honestly and quite frankly, the Senate should have, and the National Assembly should have just said that, look, there will be electronic transmission of result, or there shall be, and full stop. Stop there. The very idea of this proviso that says that in case that fails, all of those things don't have to be. You don't have to say it. If it fails, it fails. But to insert it, to say that, look, if technology fails or when that can't happen, then you can do this, you create an opportunity. You know, and I think it was Sister Obi Ezekwe that made a very important point, I think, on Sunday, when she said that, look, when she was doing due process, looking at the way contracts are awarded in the federal government, she found out that a significant portion of contracts that were issued were used, they used the exception, okay? The exception rule.
Not the rule.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the danger that exists in a country where we are still dealing with systemic corruption. If you create an opportunity for exception, that is what is going to become the rule. And that is why it wasn't wise for the National Assembly to have, you know, brought in that proviso at the last minute, you know, which goes against the grain of the consensus that was built up to that moment. It has done a damage to public perception. It has done a damage to the issue of trust. And it seems that the APC-controlled National Assembly is desperate to insert that portion because they have an agenda to use it to frustrate electronic transmission. That is the perception, and we cannot go away from it.
Speaking of which, I think during Buhari's government,
right,
some of these persons who were in ADC were in government at the time, and this same matter came up, electronic transfer of results, but they shut it down. It didn't go through.
They shut it down.
So
and
why are they asking for it now?
And that is part of the narrative that you get from the people that are in government and say, hey, but we know the roles that you guys, some of you guys played under Buhari, asking Buhari not to sign the stuff until after the 2019 election. Yeah. And, you know, I guess the facts are there about that. My own concern now is that what is good for Nigeria? What is good for Nigeria is part of the fact that our politicians, you know, are essentially in a self-serving game, you know, whether it's in APC or it's in ADC or PDP or any of the parties for that matter, even LP. Our politicians are overly, you know, driven by selfish interest, overly, and that has to change. So what we want is to do the right thing, even if the people who are asking for it now didn't do it when they had the opportunity. Okay, we note that, but we still need to do the right thing.
Let's switch to El-Rufai's matter.
Right.
Do you think he played into government's hand by saying what he said? Because now, the way the things are going, nobody knows how the pendulum is going to eventually swing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing I'd like to say about the El-Rufai matter is that based on what we are hearing, I think they need to bring the matter into the open. I mean, you cannot try El-Rufai, in secret. They said that investigation is still going on,
yeah.
and the guy has been there for weeks and all of that. I understand that they even said that he was sick at some point, but I think that has been debunked.
Yeah.
I understand that even his doctor has seen him and he's fine. But it's important to move this thing to the open. Let us know what are the other charges. We know the charges about the hacking, and we know the charges yesterday about what happened at the airport.
Yeah.
Let's know what are the charges about corruption. I mean, let's bring it in the open.
For ICPC to weigh in.
Yeah, ICPC should tell us what are the charges they are trying to. I mean, they are investigating about him. EFCC should tell us what are the charges that are against him, because we are told that the man has refused to respond to their investigation. If he has refused to respond to their investigation, which is his right, bring the matter to court if you have the evidence. Let's stop this impression of we're trying to punish El-Rufai. I, for one, think that I think that El-Rufai deserves to have his day in court, and I also wish that some of the rights violations that took place under him as governor is also brought to the table. What happened to Daddy Yatta? What happened to the traditional ruler in Kajuru, and several other violations that happened under his watch in Kaduna State, which we are aware. Those things he should also answer for them. But for God's sake, do this thing properly, do it in the open as is required, and stop this impression that we just want to punish El-Rufai, whatever it is.
Ayo.
Saying, Mr. Conde, that there is no politics at play in this matter, particularly of Mr. El-Rufai.
Well, I can't say that there is no politics at play, because he is a politician, and some of his opponents and people that he's opposing, people that he's attacking actively, they're also politicians who happen to control the levers of power. So we cannot remove politics from it. But what must happen is that, look, I think everybody in this country has a fair understanding that Rufai has questions to answer. The former governor El-Rufai, he does have questions to answer about corruption allegations. We have the Kaduna State government, House of Assembly, have a very huge report. We saw what he said on TV, what happened at the airport. There are several instances. And like I said, there are also violations of people's fundamental rights that allegedly took place when he was governor. So there's no doubt about the fact that El-Rufai needs to be to be investigated. My point is that let's just do it properly and do it fairly.
But I think the reason I'm asking that question is because you also know that his party, the ADC, are already making comments. In fact, I think I remember the national chairman of the party saying if anything happens, or maybe even former Vice President Atiku Abubakar saying that whatever happens to Mr. El-Rufai, the federal government should be held responsible. That's why I'm asking, are there any political colorations to the accusations making the rounds now that could indict the federal government, despite the substantive issues you have raised?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And if you look at it, even the advocacy of the ADC on behalf of El-Rufai is clearly below par. It's not even vibrant. And this is because there are real allegations against the man. And that's the point. I mean, nobody can deny the fact that El-Rufai has cases to answer. I think that there's a fair consensus about that. Not only about, corruption allegations, but even, abuse of power and abuse of public trust. Clearly, to that extent, it's not political. But it is political in the sense that where people are taking advantage of all of those things to kind of punish him. And we are told that he's not responding to questions and he wants to go to court. Please take him to court. Put this thing out in the open and let's see, let the chips fall where they may.
All right, we'll anchor at that point. Thank you for coming on, Lalo Akon, the host of Inside Sources and former presidential aide. Yeah. Well, that wraps it up today as well on the program. We will see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
And I'm Ayo. Makinde Business Morning is on the hour. Stay with Channels Television.